Wanted to show you guys this dream that I had this morning. So in the dream, I was standing on my porch and I looked up into the sky and I saw two full moons, and they were one on top of the other, just like this. And then to the right of them was this object that I tend to call a dead star, or a dim star as NASA calls them. And when I saw this, I said, it's time for the rapture. My mom was with me, and I said, Mom, it's time for the rapture. There's two moons. I said, repent. But she didn't really seem to care. She wasn't excited like I was. Okay, so I saw this, and then I swung around and looked in the sky opposite from this, and I saw... This is really bad, you guys. Okay, so I was standing on my porch and looking this way, I saw this. And then looking this way, I saw like multiple moons popping up all over the sky, out from behind some clouds. I don't know what this means, but I've dreamt this before, where there's just all over the sky, there's just different... I don't want to call them moons. These felt more like this, kind of like dead stars or planets. Just kind of like a dim, dull, faded star. And they were just like popping up everywhere. I've dreamt that so many times, and I know a lot of you guys on here have as well. Okay, so then I swung back around and I looked back at this area, and what I saw overlaid on top of it was this. And this really reminded me of a graphic that we would see on Easter or Passover with the purple and Easter lilies. Okay, so the Lord keeps giving me things about Easter or Passover time for the past 3 years now. On Easter morning or Passover time, what we know as Easter Day, he has been giving me messages about the timing. So he's telling me something about Passover, okay? And then I also had a vision where I was driving and I went under an overpass, and I looked at the road sign and it said goodbye, and I went under it, okay? It was an overpass. Passover, and it said goodbye. Okay, so I'm realizing that he has been showing me things about Passover. If you remember, well, okay, so we think that Passover's over and done with this year, right? Well, that's not necessarily true, because I think possibly he's pointing me to second Passover. And a lot of people say, well, what the heck is second Passover? That's not biblical, but it is. In the book of Numbers, chapter 9, I think it's 9:11 actually, which is interesting. It talks about how, there were many people who were unable to keep the Passover because they were defiled by a dead body, or they were off on a faraway journey. So they came to Moses and they said, we want to keep the Passover too, but we were unable because we were either defiled by a dead body, or they were out of the country on a trip or something. And they said, we want to keep it too, so what do we do? So Moses went to the Lord, and the Lord told him to tell them that they could still keep the Passover, but it had to be 30 days later. 30 days after Passover was when they could keep the Passover themselves, okay? So it was a second chance. We serve a God of second chances. And I think this is the symbolism of the two moons. The Bible tells us that the moon was created not just for light at night, but for signs and seasons and days and years. So God uses the moon as a sign, a symbolic sign for an appointed time. So I think that's the 2 moons, first Passover and second Passover, because also during Passover we had that Passover full moon, the full pink moon. And then during this period of second Passover, which I believe starts May 7th, May 8th, next month in May, there's also a full moon on that time as well. So 2 full moons, second Passover. I think that's what he's showing me. I could be wrong, but that's just kind of where my thinking is going right now. So remember, Easter morning of 2018, 2019, and 2020, the Lord gave me messages about the timing all 3 years. 2018 was when I had that dream that all of us here on YouTube were given a gift, and that was a wristwatch. And the time on the watches was off by 30 minutes. Okay, remember with the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years like a day. So 30 minutes in God's timing could be 30 days. There's a 30-day difference between Passover and the second chance for Passover for those who were ceremoniously unclean. And back during that time, there were many on here who felt that they were receiving messages from the Lord about a 30-day delay. Okay, and then Easter 2019, he gave me where I saw Jesus doing the math problem, and he said time is off by 4, 5, 6. Numbers chapter 9 verses 4, 5, and 6 explain why they needed to have a second chance to keep the Passover. Also in that same dream, there was a clue to something was an egg, and I'm still not quite sure about that. The only thing I can tie that to, I did a Bible search for egg, and it's only mentioned I think 2 times, but it's pretty random. However, I learned that on the Passover Seder plate, one of the items is an egg, so there's a tie to Passover. And then after I had shared this with you guys, people started sending me links to other Christians on here who were receiving things about eggs as well. And then this year on Easter morning, I had that vision where I saw what looked like a blood red moon, or it could have been Nibiru, or whatever you want to call it. It could have been this. In my spirit, I want to say about a month ago, I heard the word nemesis, and just today I learned that nemesis is a name for, I guess, kind of like a twin to the sun, like a dead star. That's literally what it called, it a dim star. So I'm thinking that's probably what I'm saying here. But anyway, I think he's pointing me towards this timing of second Passover. Okay, so a lot of people have been asking me, do I think that the rapture is going to happen tomorrow, April 29th, when this comet is supposed to fly close by the Earth? As of today, I don't think so. I think it's probably going to be when the debris field hits and the fragments, because they're saying this thing is starting to break apart. And they are saying that kind of like, oh good, it's breaking apart, it's going away. But I mean, if it's breaking apart, where are the pieces going? And in the vision that I had, where I saw what I call an asteroid coming down towards the ocean, it wasn't this huge like house or building sized comet. It was like a little fragment, a little fireball. So I'm thinking that possibly our timing could be during when this debris field goes by and it rains down on the Earth. So does anybody know like how long it would take for us to go through that debris field after this thing flies by tomorrow? Could it be like 2 weeks? So I don't know, but I don't think that the rapture is tomorrow. Personally, I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But I'm thinking that he's possibly pointing me towards this second Passover period, which is like May 7th or 8th, that week. And if not then I think it's Pentecost. And also, you know, there's been a lot of talk about the theory of, you know, maybe the rapture of the church is at Pentecost, but possibly the Lord could take a remnant beforehand. And if so, could that be during this second Passover timing? I don't know, but I feel like this is at least where I'm being led right now. I could be wrong, you guys. I never come on here and say, you know, this is it, this is the timing for sure. I'm just being led by the Spirit and sharing with you guys what I get, because we all have pieces of the puzzle. Okay, so I'm going to leave a link in the comments below to her channel name is Step Up, and she did a video yesterday about second Passover as well. So I'm like super excited and shocked that it seems like other people are also starting to being pointed to this time, or have been for a while, and they're just now kind of connecting the dots. So she explains everything perfectly in her video. So if you're confused by what I'm saying here, just go check out her video. So, all right, bye.